Okay. Recording in progress.
It was probably closed. There's no close there. And there you can keep the hair.
That's teeth.
What's nine?
Close. Yeah, in the something.
Yeah, close. I like that one. Yeah, if you don't mind, I've just started recording so Bryan doesn't miss out on this. Okay. So, yeah, that's the only downside. But as you hover over these or click on it, it does actually tell you what they think it is anyway. So have we all renumbered or renamed?
What's Mars 7, Gary?
Mars 7, I think, is teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now what we can do, we can now start to go through these and change things. So, for example, we can, I'm saying on the exposure on the skin, just darken diffraction. You'll notice as well, by the way, I'm going to do this next week. Can you see if, well, I could probably do it this week if we get time. We now have the facility to add curves to masks, which is phenomenal. But some people aren't very good with curves, so I might need to do a little bit about curves so we can explain it. So I might do that actually at the end. And then what the classic for softness is you can turn the clarity down. You can see if you go too far, you get waxy skin. I would bring the clarity down on the skin to around about 40 is enough. That's quite nice.
Scroll down a bit. There we are.
So my ideal skin using this at the moment would drop the exposure down 0.25, drop the clarity down to -40, but increase the clarity, the sharpness by 35, and it keeps some of the detail and it stops the skin looking waxy. Now, I think a skin color is okay on this, so I'm not going to change the skin color, but you could obviously change the skin color. If there's a highlight on a face, there's a little bit of a highlight you can see here. I'm going to just... I'm going to take the highlights back to about -15. Just so it doesn't burn out the top part, the bridge of a nose.
So what did you do with the clarity?
The clarity, I took that back, Tony, to -40. Now, obviously, clarity is about softening and making it harsh. So we're doing reverse clarity just to make the skin a little softer.
Sharpness up.
And I increase the sharpness. The reason being is often when you use clarity and reduce it, it sometimes looks a little waxy. But if you was to drop down the clarity and increase the sharpness, you get a softening effect, but you don't lose the edge detail. Because clarity, as you know, it's very much about localized contrast. So by just bringing the sharpness up a little bit, it just counteracts that without making it look a little bit waxy and muddy.
So what are you doing clarity at, Gary?
Clarity is -40, so we're reducing the clarity. If you look on the big screen now, if I go all the way down, you can see it looks a little bit heavy. I'll just get rid of this bottom panel, give you a bit more space than this one. So you can see at the moment, the face looks a little bit too white. If I go the other way, obviously, she looks like she's come out of one of the horror movies. So the clarity is at 100% there. The clarity is at -100% the other end. So you can see the swing. What you got to do is find a nice soft point. And I think about actually about -35. She just takes those little bits off her and makes a nice job of it. And then I took the sharpness up a little bit you'll notice that when I turn the sharpness up, it's not a massive change, but at least you can see it. And you can switch it on and off, by the way. I don't know if you know, you've got new highlight icons on these. If you do any changes, you'll see above each panel, there is libel, so you can switch them on and off to see what it looks like. But they don't stop on. You have to hold your mouse button on them. So whereas before we do the backslash for before and after, if you want to see what you're working on at this particular time, not the whole lot, because if I do before and after, if you look on the screen, if I do before now, that was before. Well, I'm not 100% sure what I'm working on there. But if I go over to where it says tone and click on the eyeball, you can see exactly what the changes have been made. And same with if you go down to your presence, where your clarity is before and after. And you can see by switching that little eyeball on and off, it's showing you before and after on that particular panel, which I think is a great addition in this latest release. So for the sharpness, if you go down to the eyeball next to the sharpness in the details panel, you can see it's very subtle, but just enough to keep the eyelashes showing on the skin.
What have you done? Sharpness at 19.
Yeah, I just took the sharpness up to about 34, Linda. You can, I mean, it's all down to your personal taste on this. There's no set rule, but one thing I want to show you is that when we've done this, like Margaret, I heard Margaret say she's got a preset for that. I want you to all set yourself a preset because we're going to match this on other pictures shortly. Just wiping my screen. I've got how much dust on my screen. I'm trying to clear a mark off her face, and it's not on her face, it's on my screen. Excuse me. Have you all managed to do the skin? Okay, so Brian, you'll have to have a go at this, and he can have a little. If you get stuck, Brian, you'll have to call me. So let's move on to the neck. So click on the mask for neck, and it should now highlight her neck in red. Don't forget, if you don't want the overlay showing at all times, you can turn it off where it says show overlay. You see that? So you can switch that off. And then I'm doing a similar sort of thing because a neck is very similar to other part of skin. I'm not going to change the exposure this time, but I'm going to bring the clarity down to about -40. And I'm going to increase the sharpness to about 35. Just so any fine hairs near a neck, it doesn't make them look a little foggy, for want of a better word. Now, when you come to the eyebrows, which is the next one, you've got to be a little bit careful because if you click on the eyebrows one now and it goes red, you'll notice it picks some of the skin up. And this is a classic issue that people have. So if I turn it up, can you see what happens? You all see on the screen? So you have to be very careful with some of these because although it says eyebrows, it's the eyebrow region. So if I do that, if I go the other way, yeah, looks like, what was his name? Not Tommy Cooper, the guy, Groucho Marx with his fancy eyebrows. So you've got to be very careful with some of these, that they are very global. So I've yet to find a place, I'd never change the exposure. I would change the blacks so you can see the blacks appear. So I'm now working, you can see on the eyebrows on the big screen. If you watch the big screen, I'm just pulling the blacks back. Now that is affecting the eyebrows and not so much the skin. If I do exposure, it affects the skin. If you wanted to have nice bushy eyebrows, that's fine. But I'm purely working on the blacks. I'm just going to pull the blacks back a little bit. I don't want too much on her because she probably don't like it. I've just pulled the blacks back. You can actually add texture to the eyebrows if you wish, or reduce the texture, make them softer. I did try clarity on this, and it can be very, very strong. So be wary of how much you do. I mean, you've got to think, I mean, you ladies there, you know what makeup's all about. You might say, well, actually, Gary, I want to bring the clarity back to make my eyebrows look softer. So if I go to -10 on there, I think that makes her eyebrows look a little bit nicer. And again, you can just switch the eyeball on and off and just see what you're doing. And I think that's just subtle enough so that we've got eyebrows, but they're not overpowering. Is everybody keeping up okay at the moment?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm impressed. Okay, the next one is the eye whites. And this is one that I see so many times. People overcook this one. They turn the eyes up, make them too bright. And it's just not acceptable. It's just really not nice. But one thing I will say to you, if you want to increase it very, very slightly, no more than about 0.1 or 0.10 in the exposure under the tone section. It's all right, Bryan has just found somebody's coming. But what I would consider you do is that a lot of people have a lot of redness in their eyes. If you want to change anything, pull back the saturation, and that will get rid of any red veins in the eyes or any discoloration, because some people have a yellowing of the eyes. But be careful that you don't draw yourself straight to the attention. So I'm just looking at the eyeball now on tone, and just a little bit. Look, I've just lightened them slightly. But the one thing that makes the difference is the saturation. It takes that redness out of the eyes. Okay.
If I do the saturation on the white eyes, that does it globally.
It shouldn't do. Do you want me to share your screen, see what you've got? Share your screen, then I'll have a look what you've got. Ba, 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 ba.
Disable the share screen.
Yeah, just share your screen.
I'm trying to, but it says the host is disabled after screen sharing.
Just try it again, Roger. I've just switched it off and switched it back on again. No, you've got it now.
When I do the saturation on there, look, it does it globally.
Right, let me just move that out of the way. Yeah, you're in the basic panel. You've come out of. If you scroll up on the right hand side, use your scroll panel. No, keep going to the right. Your white bar on the right hand side. That's it. Keep going up. That's the one you should be changing. And open up the color panel. You've got a disclosure triangle on it. That's it. And there you go. Now change the color, and it should be fine. What you was doing, Roger, you'd gone outside the panels that are working on your mask. You were working in the global one, so you'd gone down too far. That's all. Is that okay?
I think I've done that as well. Worked on the global rather than the.
Okay, you've gone down too far. Yeah. So just don't go down that far, and it should be okay. So if I share my screen again. So yeah, if you look at my screen on the screen, what you've done, you've come down to the basic panels here. If there's any doubt, you can actually remember, go solo mode, which I've done. But yeah, you've got to make sure. I noticed this before. Sometimes when you go into this panel, you're quite right. All the basic ones come open as well. Close the basic off, then you can't make a mistake. And then on that particular one, the white eyes, I've just reduced the saturation. Now, I've got one picture with one lady's got a really sore eye. And if you change the contrast and various things, it didn't do an awful lot. And you can lighten their eyes. But as soon as you take the saturation down, usually the whites come really good. So a good tip for you, don't do much with exposure. Work with saturation. Now, remember, this is the whites of the eyes. The next one is the important one. Okay, so you're all okay with this?
Yeah.
Good. Let's go to iris and pupil. Now, this is a classic one, this one. You can lighten them up. Looks like something. You can make them look really spooky. I don't advocate you do that, obviously. I just lighten it a fraction, and I mean only a fraction. 0.05, 0.1 at the tops, no more than that, because then it looks so obviously wrong. And then where you're talking about the saturation, you can turn this up a little bit if you wish. Now, one thing you want to consider is there is a facility here called Use Fine Adjustments. And what fine adjustment means, you can change the hue of our eyes, but it does it very subtly. If you switch that off, it's bang, done. So it's very difficult to control it. So if you want to make any changes to the colors eyes, make sure you click on Use Fine Adjustments, and that slide, no matter how fast you move it, it moves very, very slow. Okay. And what I did on this girl, I just took her eye color up just a little bit. Don't forget, you have also got the facility to select a color. So if you wished, if you was really nice and she wanted blue eyes, you could make her have blue eyes. But the problem is with eye color changes is that all eyes aren't uniform. So you can see it's trying to change the greens into a blue, but the browns are still saying the same. And you can give her nice additions, but so you don't have to use, and you can switch this on and off, obviously. I'm going to wind that back. To get back to the cross, by the way, if you make a color change for their eyes and you don't want it, you have to grab this color pointer in the middle or turn the saturation down to 0, and you'll notice that the color palette will change back to like an envelope shape. That's to say that there is no adjustments being made. There should be, to me, some way you can say get rid of it, because it's not very intuitive. If I click on the close button now, you'll still see the color still on. Oh, I don't want it. I don't want blue. Oh, I can't get back. So what you have to do, sadly, is wind that back to 0, and it switches it off. Not very clear, I'm afraid. So yeah, you can make there. Now, one thing that people do, and it's the best way, is you can add a little bit of clarity to the eyes, just a little sharpening. And certainly you can sharpen up the eyes. So I do probably about 20 on the eyes, just to make them a little bit more shinier. And again, you can switch the eyeballs on and off to see how much. If it's noticeable a lot, then you're doing too much. And as with any portraits, you'll find even artists, when they work on these sort of things, they'll do a bit, go away and come back, because your eyes get used to colors, and what is unnatural becomes natural to the eye because you're not seeing the changes. Walk away, come back and go, oh God, did I really make her eyes that green? That's silly. But when you're looking at it on a regular basis, then it's really does spoil it. Okay, are you okay on iris and pupil? So don't go overboard. Increase the saturation a little bit to pick it up. Remember that this is separate to the eye white, so you can crank it a little bit of clarity in there to make the eyes sparkle, and a little bit of sharpness. But don't do too much. Okay? Right, Chunky's fast asleep outside of me. Okay, let's look at lips now. And again, this is controversial. You can do all sorts with these lips. I mean, the saturation, you can crank it up. And in her case, a little bit of extra lipstick might help her. You can actually give her some nice colored lipstick if you wish. The trouble is with changing the colors is, well, that one's not bad, actually. Teresa, you're into makeup more. What do you think to that? Is that too over the top? Ooh, I've got a thumbs up from a woman. That's good. So you can have a nice purple. It looks, to me, it looks like she's been in the ocean and her lips are cold, but yeah, that's more like it. No, it's not. So you can actually increase or decrease or select a color if you wish and change the lip color. Oops, I've not quite cleared that. Bing. So you can increase, and again, if you want to do fine adjustments to bring the hue of the lipstick, if you prefer more of a pink or more of a deeper red, you can choose which one. So I'll let you decide how red a lips look. Now watch for clarity. If you go too much on clarity, sometimes it looks quite effective, but sometimes it can look very awful. So again, you ladies know better with makeup. Do you prefer a more crisp look or a softer look? So back to your taste. I'm going to give her a nice soft look to her lips, and a little bit of texture, but keep the clarity down so any imperfections on the lips doesn't jump out. I'll bring the colour back down a little bit as well. So that's where I've gone there. I've gone for about 28 on the saturation, reduce the clarity by about -60, increase the texture by about 8, and I think that looks enough. But Teresa, you can tell me if you think differently. I think that looks okay. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
And again, very similar with the teeth. People over whiten teeth. Yeah, you can give a nice white teeth look if you wish, but obviously not that much. Again, if you want to whiten teeth, don't go more than around about 10.1 effectively. But one thing, again, you can do is turn the saturation down. So if they've got a slight yellow under the teeth, which is quite normal as you get older, if you turn that down, I think that looks better than brightening the teeth up. The last thing you want to do is make connection with the teeth rather than the eyes. So don't make the teeth so sparkling that you go, wow, look at them. And again, if there's any details that's showing through the teeth, just back off the clarity around about -20, I've found works very good. Oh, I've got a cup of tea. Thank you. You go okay? So yeah, I've took the clarity on the teeth back to about -20. And I think that takes any edges, if there's any imperfections or changes in the teeth, it makes them a little bit more subtle. So once again, down to your choice, but exposure up a little bit, no more than 0.1. Clarity down -20, saturation down -30. And I think that's more than enough for this girl's teeth. Don't overcook them. Huh. Right, next one here. This is a good one. This is where Teresa's going to jump in now. So then, Teresa, you're going to tell us what settings. So over to Mrs. T, and then she can tell us what settings she's got, and we'll all try it and see if I've done it right. And we'll see how good we are at this. Come on, you're the hair girl.
Make it a bit lighter. 55.
So that's what I've done. And I'm going to just turn the saturation up a bit to give it a little bit more colour in the hair. Just a little bit. So I've gone for, Teresa, I've gone for just about 0.25, 0.26 on exposure. I've turned the highlights up to 25, and I've turned the shadows up to 12. Then the colour, I've just increased it by, I'll go to 10 for round figures. So I've done 10 on the colour here. And then on the clarity, I've dropped that to about I'll do 45. It's a round number. Or round number, it's a number 44. Dehaze is the one I find works very good on hair. So if I turn dehaze back to 0 and then turn it up, you'll find it gives the hair a nice full body. So if you like something a little bit darker, dehaze is great on hair. And again, eyeball it. Watch before, after. And it just gives the hair a lot more body, doesn't it?
You have to be on something.
You have to what? Sorry, Roger?
Tony wants to ask you something.
Yes, Tony?
Tony wants to ask you something.
Gary,
Yes.
I when I make my adjustments, they say on the teeth there, the whole face brightens. And
Okay, let's share your screen. I think you're doing on the basic panel again.
I don't think I am.
Let's have a look and share your screen. Let's have a look. We're nearly at the top now. We're just going to do clothes, which there's no clothes on this one. So not that she's naked, but I mean, she can't see any of her clothes. Okay, then, Tony, show us what you're doing. So you're on. Okay, let me just have a look where you are, Tony. Let me gonna get control. Let's have a look where we're going. I am intrigued how we have eyebrow. Oh, you got person one. Okay, you got person one. So you're on. What I think it is. Let's have a look. You're on teeth at the moment, yeah? I don't understand, Tony, how you've managed to create this mask there. Oh, it is. It's there. I can see. So teeth. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I'm trying to control your screen and it won't let me do it. Although you give me control, Tony, I can't move the slider. Move the exposure slider for me, Tony. Now come back again.
It's global.
It is. I mean, the only one thing I'm intrigued in is that you've got mask one, and it's totally different. You are, for some reason, you've got all these under mask one,
Yeah, like
but under persons, you've not got individual masks. Although it's showing them there, Tony, you've got them on. I can't drop that down. So what it's doing, it's working on mask one, all of it, look. So as you make any change or any of these, it's still under mask one. I'm going to do, can I ask you a favor, Tony? Just right click on mask one and delete it. It is saying I've got control of your screen, but I haven't. Just delete him. Delete all masks. Okay. Now then, go to person one, Tony, on the right panel. Go down to people, person one, keep coming down. Yeah. Click on the face. Right. Now click on all those one at a time. That's it. Click, 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 click. Yeah. Now create mask, Tony, at the bottom right corner. Right. I think I can see what's happening. Go back and delete those again, Tony.
Yeah, it's done it.
No, I can see what he's done. It's good, this is. So delete those. Right. Right, do it again, Tony. Click on the face.
He's not clicked the box, so do right mask.
Correct. Well done. You spotted it. So go down face. Click on them all again, Tony. Right. Okay, you've not got him yet. That's it. Now, before you do, create 9 separate masks. Yeah, now create masks. Now you've got them right. Look. So what was happening is you created separate masks under the main mask, so it didn't create separate ones. You was working on the same mask for everything. So now if you go up to which one were you working on, Tony? The teeth?
It was on the teeth.
Number 7. I think, is it number 7? Yeah. Soon see, yeah. Now click on that mask and it should open up. Now then, now go over to exposure and turn it up and down. There you go. Look, now it's just working on the teeth. Okay, so that's what you've done. So yeah, watch when you do it. It says you have an option to do masks as a main mask or individual masks. And what had happened is you hadn't got the individual masks on.
So what was happening then, Gary? Was it when he did one, because it was under the mask, it was doing it globally rather than individually.
Correct. Yeah, because if you noticed at the top, if you're looking on Tony's screen now, although it says I'm controlling Tony's screen, I am not. I don't know why it wasn't. But if I click on mask 7, I've got individual mask, but it was mask 1 out of all the masks under mask 1 as individuals, but not as a local control. So it was a global. You can change them, but you haven't got the same control. So you do need to make sure that you create individual masks rather than a single mask. And then when you go in, I've found this as well, and I think it's very confusing that if you do that and you start to move things like Tony did, you can't really relate to anything logically that why would it do this? So yeah, make sure you select individual masks. So that's what that one is, Tony.
Yeah. Okay, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. So if you're watching this, Bryan, now, make sure, Bryan, that when you do your mask, and we come on to here and we create the person, we do individual masks. Okay. So there's no close in this particular scenario. So we have now done what we need to do on here. But what else could we do? Well, we can do something with the background, can't we? So we could say now, if we create a new mask, we can actually select background. There you go. And now we can just turn that background down a little bit, or we can even change the color. So if you don't like that, you want a brownier background to match your hair. The only thing you've got to watch when you're doing the background on here, and I'm going to do it for a reason. Can you see it doesn't actually, some of it doesn't go through the hair. So if you do anything on the background on a portrait, be very careful of any fringing. You see it more when you reduce the color rather than reduce the exposure rather than the other way. See, I'm doing an orange now, and I think that looks okay. So if you want to change the background color, you can change the background color.
That's missed a few bits where the hair is on.
Yeah. Now, what I did do as well is on the mask, I turned the clarity down because I've found that if you turn it down, any of that fringing, you'll lose a lot of it. So if you work on that mask, can you see a hair? Look on the main screen. Look, I'm doing it extreme. But if I bring that clarity back, it just softens the hair a little bit. So any change you make to the background, you don't see it as much. And then the last thing, sorry, Margaret. Sorry, I missed you. Sorry.
You're not.
We can't.
You're not sharing your screen.
Oh, sorry. Is it? Oh, bloody hell! I thought I was sharing it. Now can you see it? So yeah, what I'm doing is, if I go to the background, if I turn it up and down, you can see it's leaving little bits behind. Can you see?
Yeah.
I turned it up a little bit to brighten it. Sorry, to darken it. Excuse me. And then what I did is I came down to the clarity. Oh, excuse me. Just to change the clarity, just to soften those hairs, because if you do any change in the background, you can often see it. So if you do anything quite large. The other thing is, when you do use the dehaze, it actually affects the color quite badly. So I tend not to use that on backgrounds. And then the last thing I would do on there is go down to our basic panel, which is on effects. And I would just put a little bit of a vignette on it. Now, I'm not going to show you this today. I'm going to do this next week. But you know, when we shoot in a studio, and Margaret's getting good at this now because she's doing a little bit more in the studio, we always tend to put a separation light, don't we, at the back of the head? Yeah. Yeah. What happens if you've done it and you forgot to do it or the flash didn't go off? Well, I will show you next week how to add a highlight to the back of the head as if you've lit it in the studio. Okay. I'm not doing it today because I think Bryan will want to see this as well. If you make a mistake, you can actually put a light behind the head, and I'll show you how to do that next week. I want to stick with the basics this week and then enhance next week. And looking at Roger going towards the kitchen, do you want a cup of tea? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Go on then. And then we'll go on to the next picture. But keep that picture because I'm going to show you how to make a preset from this to use on all your other pictures. Okay? 10-minute toilet break and cup of tea time there. Okay, so everybody's back. Margaret's back. So this is where we got to in our picture. Now, the thing is with Lightroom now, just like Roger pointed out, it's all becoming artificial intelligence, becoming very clever how it learns and works, and it's very scary at times. But we can actually, when you've done one face, we can do multiple images. For example, what I'd like to do, like Margaret said, rather than do loads and loads, if we have a common sort of setting, like I've just said to you, there's no perfect fix for every photograph, but if we had a starting point, that'd make life a little bit easier, wouldn't it? So what we're going to do, on the left-hand side, we have got presets. Can you see the word presets? Down this left-hand side. And if you click on the plus button, we're going to create a preset. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
So I'm going to just hover over there so Bryan can see it. So Bryan, we're going to go over to where it says create presets, and we're going to create a preset and click on create preset. Now, the most important thing on this panel is I would, at this point, unless you want to do anything other than, check none. And then come up to where it says masking and click that one on. And then I would give this a name, call it basic portrait adjustment. So it's just a very basic one. We've done it for this one, and we'll see how it works with others. So you need to make sure that the masking is set and all these are on. Don't worry about the others, because you might not want to do any changes to backgrounds and things and other support. And then what we're going to do is create. So let me know when if there's any problem, if you're stuck with this bit, let me know.
Hang on a minute, Gary. You want us to take all the off?
Yeah.
Yeah, so check none and then just click on the word masking.
Oh, right,
Just
yeah.
click on that. I'll do
So what it's saying is we're going to create a preset based upon just the masking on a portrait. We don't want no tone curves, no transforming, corrections, nothing. It's just all about masking. Are you all okay with that? And I've called this one, I just made it basic portrait adjustment, because it's a basic one. Yeah. Is everybody okay with that? Roger, can you tell?
Yep. Okay, everybody.
Yeah.
Good. And then create it. Now you'll notice on the left-hand side, we have different disclosure triangles. All these are different ones for different things. And a lot of these new ones here come from Lightroom, part of Adobe Suite. But usually at the top, there's one called User Presets. And if you've got that, click on the little arrow at the side and see if it's in there. So we've called it Basic Portrait Adjustment, and it should be in there. Have you all managed to find it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
Click on that.
I found a panel, but can't find the go down.
And did you? Oh, that looks a nice picture. You in the corner, Roger.
One that's not been adjusted. Next.
What do you call it? Basic portrait. All right.
Oh, this one here.
Do it again then. Create another one just in case. And just check that it's putting it in the user presets. It may be, Ron, that you made one before. So, for example, if I come up to the top now and create another one, create a preset, just check that it's in the group user presets. You may have it in a different group. It might be in one of these. So check that you're in user presets.
And all the adjustments are sent.
Okay, then for some reason you've got all the numbered ones. So go down the bottom to where the numbers finish.
Yeah. I never use presets.
Never used them, Linda.
Sorry?
You say you never use presets?
No, I don't seem to bother very much with them.
The nice thing about presets are that if you're a little bit thinking, oh, what can I do? Just go through a couple of them and then you'll learn that, oh, I can do that on my pictures, or I can do this. Certainly the black and whites are very helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a quick and easy way to get started. And bear in mind that if you like one particular, I know Bryan is getting very good at some of the architecture pictures. If you come down to there, find some he likes modify them to his taste, and then save them and use the preset so that next time he can highlight one picture, highlight then 10 more, and then do a synchronize using that preset, and all his pictures will be done in seconds. So they are good. We're going to cover presets in a second anyway. So have you found it, Ron? Okay now?
No.
Yeah, okay then. Okay. So now then, just out of interest, go to one of the other, we know we made some virtual copies. So click to the next picture along. You see on mine, I've got several. So go to the next one. You'll click the next picture.
Yeah.
Or you can reset this one that you've done if you don't want to do that. And then what we're going to do is go over to your user presets and then scroll down to basic portrait adjustment. And if you hover over it, it will say detecting.
Yeah.
Because it's going to show you what it will look like if you use your preset. Can you see that?
No, mine's not working.
Hover over it, over basic portrait adjustment. Did you reset your picture or use a different one?
Use a different one. Hang on. Now just hover over it. Don't.
There you go. That's no detecting. Look, that's what you did.
Yeah. And it detects and bang, it's done, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then if you like that, guess what? Just click on it. And you'll see all the masks will appear. Can you see that?
Yeah.
You all right with that, Teresa?
Oh, it's just still detecting zero, that's right.
Yeah. And now, if you look on my screen, I have got all those masks done again for me automatically with all the settings that we had before, which is great, isn't it? Now then, let's have a look at, I got it as picture 9. Can you all see this picture?
Yeah, we haven't got that.
No,
No,
but-
that, Gary.
I've sent it to you in the chat window.
Oh, he sent it to you today.
Yeah, I sent it today. Because you all said, oh, I can't find that. I said, well, I'll send it to you all. And I've sent it. Beautiful hair woman, it's called. But don't worry, because I can show you. You don't necessarily need it, but it's just what I want to do. But now then, watch what happens now. I've actually clicked on basic portrait adjustment. It's detecting. Okay, and it's made the change. It's even changed the background for me. Look at the background change is good, apart from the hair on the bottom left corner near her right arm on our left. There's a few little artifacts in there, so I'd have to be very, very careful with those. But the interesting thing is, now, if I click on it now, what do you think is going to happen?
All those adjustments will happen.
Yeah, but have you noticed something about the picture?
Got her eyes closed.
Yeah, she's got her eyes closed. So how many masks are you going to make?
You only make 8 then, shouldn't it?
No. How many, Ron? Think about it. You're close, Ron. You're out by 1, but... Oh, did I give you the answer there? 7. Because remember, the eyes have got the whites of the eyes and the pupils. Yeah? So let's click on it and see what happens. If you've not got it, there you go. And you'll notice that in here, it's got teeth and an exclamation mark saying, I can't find them. And the iris and pupil is saying, I can't find it. That's how smart this is. It's really good. I am really impressed with this. Now then, what happens if you try and apply it to multiple people? Now, I know you've all got this shot because I gave you this at the beginning. What happens if I select this picture? Now it's detected 3 people. And if I go over basic portrait adjustment, what do you think is going to happen?
It should select all 3.
So you think it's going to select all 3? Should we have a look? Have you all got this? Why don't you all do this with me so we can do it together? So find that picture. And then find your basic portrait adjustment. It detects them. And then click on it.
Very dark.
He has made the faces very dark.
Yeah, but can I just notice one thing? That instead of selecting individuals, it selects them as a group. Now, in a wedding, Teresa, if you're doing a wedding shot and the sun's a bit contrasting, you can't lose your top light. If you've got a setting for this, you could actually do all of them together. But the downside of it is using this preset, it will, although we've selected only one person, it's saying, well, I've got 3 people. So what it's done, it's mixed all the 3 people as if it's one. And that is the only downside of this preset, is that it actually sees multiple. And like it says, it's seeing the hands on there, which probably isn't too bad. I mean, the background's a classic one. If I look at the background now, we can turn the background down a bit lower. We can brighten up the clothes, make them look a bit brighter. And most of all, obviously, the faces, brighten up the faces. And put some highlights in, pull the shadows up. Remember, it took the clarity down. If you don't want the clarity off, you can turn that off. So what I'm saying to you is, although the preset and the AI is very good, if you try and do it on multiple people, it doesn't work. Now, just to prove my point, let's go down to this picture here, and I'll just show you what I mean. Because I want to do some luminosity masking.
It doesn't work, but it gives you a good basis.
Yeah, it gives you a global arrangement. So instead of individual faces, it does it as a group, which in Teresa's case at a wedding, rather than have to go around and adjust different faces, she could have a preset for, I don't know, contrasty light, call it, Teresa. So you can take some of the heat out the shot, save it as a preset, then get your wedding picture up, click on that, it will do the mask, and then just adjust and brighten the faces up. So that would save, I think, you a hell of a lot of time. You can bear in mind, Teresa, as well, is a great thing about this is that it does clothes. So if you've got your wedding dress and it's the faces want brightening, but the wedding dress wants darkening, you can do it and it's done it for you. It's got it all set up. So you can say, I'll add a bit of clarity just to get all the sequins or whatever. So I'm saying to you, these presets, Linda, although you don't use them, are very, very helpful to get you started. Because otherwise, if you've got lots and lots and lots of pictures like Teresa's for weddings, you can get in a situation where it gets very tedious, isn't it, Teresa? You're just going, oh, God, I've got all this wedding to do. Get yourself a workflow and say to yourself, right, I've done this shot today. I know I've got a problem. Even to the point, Teresa, let's say for Teresa's sake, Teresa shot this wedding and all these pictures of her wedding, and most of them have got a similar sort of problem. Teresa could go to the first one, let's say for this one, say, and she could do the work on there in develop module. And then on here, of course, you've got previous, but if I select multiple, I can do sync. And guess what? All the masks will synchronize across all those images. So instead of having to go to the presets, Teresa, and say preset on that, you can actually select multiple images, apply the preset that we've done to all those images, or you can highlight them all and do synchronize. So you could do a whole wedding literally in minutes. Yeah. I'm not saying the preset is going to be perfect for each one, but what I'm saying is, and I'm saying to Linda is, and Roger's right, it gets you started. It gets to a point where you don't have to do each picture or do the same thing, previous and click. Look at the pictures and say, well, okay, why don't I say all pictures that I mark red needs a particular filter. All those are marked green, I need a different one. So you go through them, nip through, and then you go, right, show all the green images. Yeah, get the preset, click on it and synchronize it. All your pictures will be done. Now, and I know this because I did a shoot just the other day here for a guy that is in a competition in the gastronomic. And I noticed 2 or 3 different pictures and different lighting. And I wanted to pick him out. And rather than go through and go over each face and brighten his face and then do this, and I looked at him, I said, right, all these here, these 12 pictures, all the faces need a little bit more light to stand him off because it was in the shade. Even though CNN and the camera teams were there was 3 people walking around with massive cameras and cables doing it on live TV. Right across Portugal it was. They kept putting lights up and switching them on and off. And 1 minute you could see them and next minute you couldn't. So I broke them down into 3 categories and I gave them all a colour. And then I got the color. I went to the first one, made the adjustment, and synchronized all the green images, then all the yellow images, and all the red images. And I did them literally within about 10 minutes, did every picture. Now I did 200. I didn't need them all, but I'll let him have the pictures because he's a friend. And it didn't take me very long. Within 10, 15 minutes, I'd done them all and sent them up to WeTransfer. To a standard I felt that was more than adequate for what I needed. So from a wedding point of view, Teresa, you could do a similar sort of thing. You can say, right, these are all inside and want this doing to them. And actually, the faces are a bit dark. Do the first one, save it as a preset so you can use it again and call it a name, like I call basic. You could put inside portrait low light, and then it'll pick all the faces up. And then you could do another one for. And what I'm saying is, you can nip through some of these pictures then, Teresa, pretty quickly. Just a point.
Gary, you know, you set me up a reduced green, upright and all that.
Yes.
I apply that. If I was to make a new preset,
Yeah.
I want to add something else.
Yep.
Do it after I've imported and then sync.
Yes, do it after you've imported it and sync it. I would do it that way because you might find there's a slight variation. If you do it globally, well, okay, you can do it globally, then you have to go back and adjust. So you've got a choice which way you do it. Whichever way, if you do it during the import, it's just as good as doing it as a synchronized. The only difference is, as you're bringing them in, you're telling it to do it. When you're in the editing, you're saying, I'm selecting these to do. So rather than do a global on all your pictures, you can say, I only want these done. Bear in mind, Teresa, as well, is when you bring your photographs in, let's say you've got your wedding pictures up now, you're going to import them, and you notice that half of them need it doing, half don't. You can select half of them, check the box that says, do not eject the disk. You know, when we normally upload photographs, it comes up with eject disk after use, yeah? Uncheck that, bring those in as one preset, then go back, and you'll notice then it says, if you click on new photographs, all those you've just done will disappear. And then say, right, the rest of them I want to do with this preset. So you can do 2 sets or 3 sets very quickly. So what I'm saying is you go to import, so it makes sense for you. So if I went to import here, my phone's here, that'll do. Phone will do. It'll pick any pictures up. I think I've got to unlock it. I'll just unlock it so you can make sense.
Gary, while you're doing that,
Yep.
in the user presets, can you make a folder? For example, if Teresa wanted it for weddings inside and outside, sunny and dull,
Yep.
can you set up a just for weddings?
You can indeed. So I'll come back to all that thought, though, just because I'm a man and I can only do one thing at a time. So what I'm saying to you is, let's say that this was, I thought I'd got more pictures. It's not showing enough. I would see all the pictures come up in the grid. I'd select half of them. And then when you come to eject, instead of ejecting the disk, it won't let me eject this because I've got no photographs, sadly. But you've got a point where it says at the top, eject disk after import.
Yep.
Uncheck that, select your first 20 that you think want doing, apply your preset in your develop settings over here, as you quite rightly said. And bear in mind, you can use these presets. Look, that one we've just done is there, basic portrait adjustment. So it's available at import as well. So you can have all your user presets, and you might have wedding inside and give it some sort of attribute, and then bring those in, then select the next 10. Now, the great thing is as soon as I brought those in and I click on new photographs, those that I've just worked on have disappeared. Now I can select some more and do another import using a different setting. And what I'm saying is you can bring them in and you can have multiple different presets for different pictures at the point when you bring them in. Does that make sense to you? Does that help you, Teresa?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to cancel that. Now, sorry, Roger, you said that again. Can I have multiple presets? Yes, you can.
Now,
So-
where it says user presets, that just makes a long line.
Yeah, but you
Can
can
you
do,
set-
you can do, I believe, oh, they've taken that out. You used to be able to create groups. Just one second. They seem to have done. Yeah, you should still be. Here you go. Look, manage preset. I think. No, it won't let you do it in there. You'd have to do them as you create them. So if I was going to create a new preset here today, I could create a preset. Oh, come on, create a preset. And then here in group, I think, yeah, you see, good one, Roger, that you used to be able to change and make your own groups. I will find that out. Let me write that down, preset names, because you used to be able to just select a group and then make your own group. So preset.
I was thinking perhaps for Teresa, if she's doing weddings and she got
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
outside, she got a preset for inside and then one for outside.
Correct.
But
Well,
you don't want to.
yeah,
Nest.
well, you're right, because what we're saying is you can what we call nest it. So if I come out of there, because I can't, you used to be able to do it. Okay. Oh, it's there, new group, got it. It's there, look, new group. It is there. So now you can click on new group. We call this my wedding. Oops, my wedding presets. So now I'm going to create a new one, my wedding presets. And now if I do that and create it, you should have my wedding. There you go, my wedding presets. Does that help you? Does that answer your question, Roger? So now Teresa could make loads and loads of them and put them all in here.
That's right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you're nesting them. You're making them a lot easier. So you're not, otherwise you're quite right. You end up with a great big list. So yeah, create the group first, and then you can add to them. Yeah, brilliant. Okay. You all right with that one, Teresa and Roger? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to just going back to this, what I said about the presets. You see, I've got the girls on here. If I come to my user presets, basic portrait adjustment, bang, detecting faces. So it's going to update them. And now if I look at the masks on here, you'll find that I've got all these. But the interesting thing now, it's detected 2 people, but let's have a look on here. There should be a second one. Each time I click on, I've got a face again. So although it's saying 2 people, it only ever selects one. So I think, to be honest, there are some bugs in the software, or they're going to make some further enhancements, because, yeah, you wouldn't want that one on there. Let's go to that one. Let's reset it, because I found that sometimes if you redo it, it's detecting people again. It's found the people, look, so it's found the 2 faces. If I go to basic portrait adjustment, detecting, and then look at the masks. Now you see it's done it as a global one. So if I do a preset on top of preset, it seems to add an extra mask, but only for the first one. So if the main preset is the first person, it only does one. So if I do another one, I don't know if it'll let me do 2, but I noticed it's done this before. But now you see it's a global one again. So I can do exposing the background. But I don't get individual ones, which is a shame.
Yeah, because the girl on the left's too pink now, isn't she?
Yeah. Well, the thing is as well, interestingly enough, when I did this picture here, I did 2 separate coloured hairs. There are my 2 masks. I made masks for 2 individual. But if I save that now as a preset, so if I save this, create preset called the girls, I'll call it the girls in my user preset. The girls, I'll call it the girls. I'm going to go to this image here, and I'm going to reset it. So I'm hopefully in a moment when it wakes up. Come on, Photoshop, wake up, Lightroom. I'll do it on that one then. All right, I'll reset that one. There we go. So now I've got no changes on there. If I go to the girls on here now, you'll notice, look, it does exactly from both. Look, can you see? So as I hover over it, it's telling me what it's going to do to it. Well, I only changed the hair color on one of the girls, not both of them. But it's seeing them too. But you can delete. You could say, well, okay, I'll apply that preset after all. Let's apply the preset, the girls. There's the preset. There's nothing to stop me actually masking one off. But it's a bit of a headache job, isn't it? Yeah. So there are some limitations with presets if you're doing portraits. It doesn't detect It didn't see two people as two individual masking. It creates a mask for both of them. Yep.
So because that detected two faces, could you click on one and do one, and then click on the other and do the other one?
If you hover over here, you'll see if I do the teeth on it, she's got no teeth on that one. So let's look at the eyes. Oh, it's picked the eyes up on that one. Yeah. Now, if I do that one, it'll do both eyes.
Yeah.
It won't separate. Yeah. Which is a shame, but no doubt they'll sort that out. They'll look at that. But yeah, it has some limitations, but don't think you do it for them all. On multiple people, it didn't work. And I say, if you looked at this one here, where we got 3 people on, and I did the girls on that one, hover over the top, they've all got blue hair. Yeah. So it's very clever. I mean, but it's unfortunately it's so. I mean, you could actually say, well, actually, I want this on here. I'm going to do it, and then on the hairs, where's the hair on here? We could subtract using the brush the blue hair on that one. Yeah. That makes sense to you all. It's actually, well, I just want him to have blue hair because he's a bit of a lad. So you could do it, but it's a starting point. Presets are starting points. And you could possibly, I don't know whether we could, I could add a mask. I don't know whether I could do select perp. I know you can do this one and then you could change the color on here. You know, so he's got a different color hair. So I'm picking the old mask up here. I've got blue back on. But I could then change the color, I think, on there. Yeah, but it's changing them both again. Seeing them both, isn't it? So you can see there are some limitations. Okay, I want to just finish off today doing this luminance range, because we've not touched luminance range. So I'm going to get rid of this mask. I'm going to delete this mask. So if you can all find this picture, I will explain the differences.
Do you want us to reset it?
Yeah, reset it. Just 1 minute. I'm just going to ask. I'm answering a question more.
You haven't got it? Why have I not? You'd have been on holiday mode when we got that.
Nothing's happened out of the reset. No, not me.
It should take that.
That's because, yeah, but we did do something on it, didn't we?
No.
So I'm
I
back
haven't
on.
got it, Gary.
Oh, this was one of the first ones I ever sent you, so it should be in your original folder. But I can send it. Do you want me to send it?
Look at the masks and delete all masks. Do it that way.
Yeah, let's send it again. Mm-hmm.
You know, if you've gone in and on it, like it'll be masks.
That has reset it.
Mud.
If you just click on reset.
On its way to you, tree, is it?
That just gave you the mask, that's all.
Doesn't seem to reset.
Yeah.
Well.
Well, it has, because when you first clicked on it, it had some bits.
Have you got that, Teresa? Can you see it? I sent it through the chat window. Everybody.
Yep.
So you got a copy of it. Yeah. Now, if you remember, Linda had a picture of a black and white building. I haven't got quite time to do it today, but I'll explain the principle and we'll just touch on that next week as we go on to the next subject. Just one quick one. I meant to tell you that when we're working on in the develop module, you will see, let me just choose. Yeah, I can choose this one anyway. You'll notice now that all your panels has an eyeball on, like you used to have in Photoshop. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Let me just get a bit closer for you. There, look, can you see the eyeballs?
Oh, yeah.
Now then, the nice thing about those eyeballs is you'll notice they're all grey at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
If I go into the basic panel and make a change, let me just come out the big one so I can see it. If I make a change, you'll see the eyeball has changed now. And there's a dot underneath the adjustments. Can you see the adjustment panel at the top? Let me just go in a bit closer. You'll notice there's a dot appeared now, look, underneath the adjustments, yeah? And if you do a crop, it'll put a little dot under the crop to let you know that something's gone off in that panel. And not only that, you can also then come to here and switch it on and off by holding the button down, your mouse over that, and it's showing you before and after. And that's same on all these. If it's grey, you've not made a change. So let's say I go to detail, and let's say we do a bit of sharpening. Let's do a bit of sharpening. There we go. I've turned the sharpening up, and now I've got an eyeball. Yeah, you can see. So when you make changes now, it actually tells you where you made the changes. So if I crop it, go up onto here, crop. Now look, there's a dot appeared underneath the crop tool. Can you see? So it's now telling you what changes or where the changes are, or any change you made and where they are actually found. Yeah. Okay. You all got that now? And what I don't understand is I think this is a great addition, and yet when they released this last at Lightroom, they didn't tell you about it. It's a shame because I think it's great. Love it. So you can see at any time now any change you've made in which section. Okay. So I'm going to reset that. Now the dot's gone. If I reset the basic or even just reset the lot, all the eyeballs have gone.
Yeah, I had basic.
Yeah. Okay, so Linda's got a picture with a lot of shadows and different things we said we could pick up. If I zoom into an area, you can see it gets quite noisy. Yeah, depending on the shot, how good the shot was. There's a little bit of noise in here. If I was to pick up the shadows in here, everything gets increased and all the noise goes everywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What I'd like to do, like on Linda's shot, I know there's some chromatic aberration on here and I've not switched that off. Let's just have a quick look. I don't know whether or not here. I'll just put it down as Canon. Okay, go. We'll get some noise reduction. We'll talk about it. You see, if I do the noise reduction now, I'm making the noise reduction everything again, aren't I? It'd be nice if I could actually boost the shadows and then only turn the noise down in that area. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Well, we can. And this is now luminosity masking. So I'm going to reset that. I want to reset all my picture. And we're going to go to the mask. So what we're going to do is get this picture. Have you all managed to find it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What we're going to do, go to the mask. And this time we're going to go down to range. And we're going to go to something called luminosity range. And now we've got our new panel. And don't go to the basic. Switch the basic off so you can't see it. Okay, make sure that basic's out of the way. Now, at the moment, it doesn't know what luminosity means, but I've got an eyedropper tool appeared. And I'm going to tell it where I think I want the shadows or the detail to be. And they don't have to be shadows, but I'm using this because I want to look at Linda's picture next week. So make sure, Linda, you send it to me. And then we'll get it ready for class next week.
Sent it to you.
Did you really? Oh, let's have a look then. My apologies. I couldn't see it. Okay. So you'll see now I'm in the middle part of this picture. I'm going to just, I can't zoom in while I've got the eyedropper tool on, but I'm going to click in the shadows. Bang. And you should see that all the shadow area in that range has now become red. Is that correct?
Yeah.
If you've got it open. Now then, let's explain a little bit about this. Now, don't forget, in our masking window, we've got show overlay set. Can you all see that? So if I zoom in here, look, I've got show overlay underneath my mask. I've got, and of course, all this is red. If I switch it off, I can't see where I'm masking, which actually is quite good sometimes because you don't always want it on. But I'm going to switch it off because I want to show you a feature within this panel on the right. Now, where we've clicked, it's showing you a black solid lump. Can you see this on the right-hand side?
Yeah.
I've got this slider here. And it says luminance range, show luminance map. You can show it, you can click on here, so it's on. It's exactly saying as show overlay. But the only difference is, look what it's telling you. It's saying, look, I've got a lump with a red with a 0 in the middle, but I've also got a bit outside the range. And that is to do with this slider. This is your fade button. Can you see? So you can actually say, I want it to go to there, then I want to slowly fall off. And the further away you go, the more range it will do. It's like a gradient. It's like a relief on there. I'm going to get rid of that for a second. So you can, and then, these are your ranges. If I grab this box, I can move it up the scale. And you see, I can grab it and move the range. I can also grab the tabs on the outside and make it greater so you can see it. Now, I don't want that luminance mask on. I'm going to turn it off. Because if you go to these little dots and hold down the option key, as you hover over it, you will see now, because I've switched it on, it's telling me where these range is. So that's using the Alt key, Option Alt key. You see, look, as I move it, I'll turn the luminous mask off again. As I move this along, it's showing me with the Alt key down where the range is. And then when it's finished, it's actually showing you the mask. I'm going to turn the overlay off again. You see, I'm holding the Alt key down and it's showing me the range. And I can pull this back and I can hold the Alt key down and you can see that. And if you bump it, it'll make it narrower, obviously. Then you'll have to pull it back out again. But the great thing about this is, if I bring that down to where the shadows are, like in Linda's photograph, and I can put a little bit of this on, I'll show you where it is. I'll make a bit of fade on there. Now, I've got a range based upon the luminance level I've set on this slider. And you can invert it, by the way, so you can switch it over. But now what we can do is we can come down here to where it says noise and turn up the noise reduction. But now, unlike before, where I was going to go up to here, unlike before, where it was, let me just get back onto that map. Turn that off. Where before it was boosting up all the noise in here, we're only lifting up the noise and improving the noise in the shadow area. So if I was to raise it in normal basic in here and I did shadows, it would work on everything. What we're saying is, let's not, anything that's in this dark range, let's make a noise, let's reduce the noise in that area only. Let's, so you can sharpen up other areas and then get rid of the noise in the shadows, because we all know that if you lift up the shadows, it's often noisier because there's less information there, isn't there? So anything where it's dark, like on your picture, Linda, and I'll look for it when we finish. When you've done that, when you've actually picked up found the shadow detail that you want to boost, and you don't want the noise, this is a way to get rid of it. So you can get the best of both worlds. You lift the shadows without all the rubbish. It's not going to be perfect because you're softening the noise. However, we have a new thing here, which I want to go through, but I'm not going to do it today. Under detail, we have got this denoise. And the denoise is AI. It's very, very good. I've tried it on a couple of things and it's very good. However, it only works on DNG files. So if you bring your pictures in like we started to do, and I think a lot of you still do, when you import them as DNGs, one, it saves disk space, and two, it will allow you to use this noise reduction. You'll be really good.
Where do you find the denoise, Gary?
It's under detail. So under detail, you've got, do you mean for this new AI one, or the one where we've done the luminance mask?
We're doing the luminance.
Okay, in the luminance mask then, it's down here, look, under detail, noise.
Oh, just the noise.
Yeah, just increase the noise filter. If you go that way, it takes it off. Do it that way, and now you'll find that it's taken out the noise only in the areas that you've got on your luminous mask. And I think that is pretty damn impressive.
So does the denoise automatically come up if it's a DNG?
If you're in detail and you've got a DNG file, it will let you use it. Yeah. At the moment, you can use it like you used to. Look, I can denoise the whole picture.
Yeah.
But you can, when you got the denoise on a DNG, it's a little bit like the detection. It comes. I'll do it next week. I'll make sure we've got a DNG file we can work on that's a bit noisy, and then we can bring that up. And we'll do Linda's picture as well, and we'll work on that too. Okay. I'm watching the time for you guys because you obviously got to lock up. So that is the denoise, and it worked. I've tried it on several pictures. It's quite good. I've tried it using a DNG file, and it's very impressive. Very impressive. But just make sure that it's a DNG file. Okay. Okay. Has anybody got any questions on today?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Good. So you all understand masking now.
Wow.
But the masking is just pretty impressive. Really is good. Very impressed with it. Okay. Right. We'll do that next week. If you can have a think, guys, anybody that's interested in this Porto trip, you know, and Linda's saying that obviously she might not be well enough. David and Judy are seriously considering coming, which is good because if you want to bring your camera equipment and Judy and David's coming, rather than to haul all your camera equipment through, they could probably put it in the back of their car and bring it for you. So you haven't got a lot of luggage. So they're thinking of coming via car. So David would love to get out and about, but he can't fly because they won't let him because he's got his oxygen. But if he comes in the car, he can go on the ferry. It's not a problem. So that's the consideration they're looking at. So, yeah, I'm off to look at these other trips. So let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to be wasting a lot of time. And obviously getting people, companies that are interested in helping us, wasting their time too. Okie dokie. We'll stop sharing and we'll stop recording.
See you this afternoon.